what I want to warn you about, God help me that I get this across to you. If you've been watching the media, and I saw something begin to happen in 2016, and I began to warn all of the people who came in contact with me, and I told them, be careful, because it doesn't matter whether you're watching CNN or ABC or NBC or CBS or Fox, it doesn't matter what media source you're watching. I can promise you that they are feeding whatever information to you that's going to get their ratings up. And this is the truth about us as humans. If we talk about good things, people aren't really attracted to that. They won't come back to it. They'll enjoy it for the moment, but they don't come back. If we get you riled up, if we get you angry, and I am talking about, I had an advertising agency from in the 80s to the late 90s. And one of the things that I understood about people, didn't like it about us, but I knew it was true, is it didn't matter how intelligent a person was. They would emotionally respond to whatever you were getting across to them. And if you didn't touch their emotions, then they weren't going to listen to you. They weren't going to buy something from you. Well, all of the media sources that you're going to watch, whether it's podcast, whether it is, they know that you are going to respond more to negative things than to positive things. That's just the truth about us. I hate that it's true, but it is. It is true about humans. And as a result, they're going to feed negative information to you. And it's true. I watch all of the media sources because I want to have a balanced look. The truth is I listen to CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox. I listen to all of them, and I listen to what their programs are saying, and I check out the resources. If they quote something from a speech that someone made, one of the presidential candidates made, I go and listen to the speech because I want to find out, are they misshaping something they quoted and taking it out of context to create something you're going to respond to get you angry, to get you excited, to get you fearful, so that you'll keep watching. And this is just the honest truth. They may take me off of this YouTube source, but the honest truth, I've called every one of the sources, Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, I've called all of them lying with what they were broadcasting. Every one of them. And as a result, they're feeding negative information to get you to come back to keep the ratings up. Now, here's what's going on with you. You probably picked one. You're either, if you're a Republican, you're watching Fox. If you're a Democrat, you're watching CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN. And if you are, then you're getting one negative feed after another, after another, after another. And you're probably going back again and again. Now, why are we pulled that way? It's your heart. It's your heart. Now, within the mind, we come to a decision because of an analytical process, and we weigh out what's right or wrong, but that analytical process doesn't happen in the heart. Remember, I told you that. So how does the heart make its decision? It makes its decision by what makes it feel good and what makes it feel bad. Now, why is that a dangerous thing? Well, in the area of destructive habits in our life, alcohol and drugs, as bad as they are for us, they do provide momentary escape and relief from the difficulty in this life, and the heart weighs it out that there is momentary relief from the depression it feels if they'll drink enough, if they'll take drugs. So it pushes the individual. It decides drugs and alcohol are okay. It does the same thing with immorality. Immorality feels good. So no matter what area of your moral compass, it's going to always push you toward immorality. And it's going to push the mind gradually, so the mind gives in to it. Now, when it comes to listening to feeds from our television, the NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, CNN, and they're feeding negative things to you, well, it gets your heart riled up. And it thinks no matter what, that's truth it's hearing. And it enjoys the excitement, even if it's anger that it's causing. Even if it's fear, it enjoys that high that's created. And it pushes you back to that news source again and again. But here's the problem. The mind tugs back and forth with the rational, or the heart tugs back and forth with the rational mind. And over time, the mind gets exhausted from that battle going on and finally gives in to the irrational, destructive, beyond cure, devious, deceitful heart. And at that point, when it takes over, the person now begins to become emotionally and mentally ill. Did you hear me? Now, for those of you, I wish I'd come to, there's many of my friends that I see them struggling emotionally and mentally. Some of them are struggling with a level of emotional and mental illness. Now, how do you know? Take a look at who you were. Let's go back to 2016, before the 2016 election, because that's when the negative feed began to happen within the media sources, within what you watch, in what you see on Facebook, your social media sites, on YouTube, on everything you were watching was giving a negative feed. Who were you before that time? How negative of a person were you? How much did you struggle with depression? How much did you struggle with anxiety? How fearful were you? And now let's come forward all the way to today, to 2024. Have you changed? Do you struggle more with depression and anxiety and fear? Are you kind of a crabby person? Do you snap at people, impatient with people more than what you used to be? What would your friends say about you? Would they say you are different than what you used to be? Go and ask somebody. Get somebody that's honest and stop being defensive long enough to hear what they're saying. Now, I'm warning you, there's a danger coming for you, and it's been coming for you, to take over your mind and your heart. And it's doing probably a great job with you. If you find you're listening to what I'm saying and you're going, oh my gosh, that's me, I've changed into somebody that I don't even like. Well, what do you do? What do you do? You begin to change how you think. And that starts by what are the sources you're feeding your mind with. Start watching things that are positive. Maybe it's a comedy that's funny, that's going to make you laugh. Look at sources that are going to make you think positive. Look at motivational speakers, and maybe you don't like motivational speakers, but find some that make you think positive thoughts. And stop looking at those sources, those programs on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, CNN. Just turn that channel off. Turn that channel off and start getting well. Now, for those of you who have a relationship with God, maybe you're struggling right now. You've realized in listening to me, you think, there's a good chance that I am either emotionally and mentally ill or both of them, that I'm really messed up right now. Well, there's no quicker heal than if you have a tangible encounter with God. I promise you that. I believe that I can prove the existence of God to an atheist. If an atheist will approach God in the way that I'm asking them to tell God, I don't believe in you, but if you're there, and begin to open their mind and heart up to the door to God. Remember, if you listen to my podcast episode, God's reluctant to control as long as you don't want him in your life, or as long as you're taking control of some area and you've determined what's going to happen there. You may be a Christian, but I can tell you God's not involved in it. You may have decided, you may even be praying, you may be directing God. I'm going to have faith for something to happen, but you don't know. You don't know. You couldn't tell me this is what God wants to do. Then at that point, I can tell you the door's closed and God's not involved. But if you want God involved, for those of you, if you're not a Christian, then work to have sources. If you're an atheist, you don't believe in God, that's your choice. But at least listen to me and begin to look for sources that are going to feed positive thinking patterns within you and going to change how your heart responds, because as you think, if you begin to think positive in your heart, so you will become. It'll change who you are. It's going to take time. It's going to take time by that process. But if you're a Christian and you want change quick, then begin to seek after a tangible relationship with God. And if you don't know what that is, and you just started watching this podcast, go back to the first episode. You know, I think it's on Has Christianity Overpromised? Go back to it and begin watching, and I'll walk you into this intimacy with God, show you and tell you how an encounter, a tangible, transforming encounter happens with God. Now remember, you're never alone. You're never without purpose or value. You're never unloved. No matter what your heart is saying to you, the truth is, bring your thoughts captive to things that are true, that are honest. And the truth is, you're never alone. God will not move away from you. You're never without value or purpose. God has a plan for you, and you're never unloved. You may not feel loved because the door's closed to him. Go and listen to the podcast. God is reluctant to control. But I promise, he loves you more than you could imagine. He'll stay at the door, even if you're an atheist. God's at the door, I promise right now, knocking and calling. And if you never open the door to him and you talk bad about him all your life, he'll still stay at that door, knocking and calling, because he loves you and wants to take care of you. Now get serious about this. I don't want to see you become emotionally and mentally ill. And you got to wake up to the fact of what's going on with you. Come on, take a look at who you're becoming and begin to change some of that by beginning to stop listening and watching sources that are feeding your anger, feeding your depression, feeding your anxiety, that are feeding that negative part of who you are, and begin to watch sources that are going to feed positive things within you. I care about you and I love you. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. Hey viewers and listeners, this is Rod Pruitt. Want to help someone experience a tangible encounter with God? Then simply click on the like and subscribe buttons below. Yet more important, take the time and click on the share button to make sure your friends know about this intimate God relationship. That's all you have to do. Thanks for caring.